Hello everyone. Welcome to Gotham Digital Learning, and now we are entering into the last phase of our Linux administration classes. Now today we are going to start working with servers. The prime, the climax and the maximum things that we are going to do in real work is on the proper server based applications. So today we are going to see our first server, that is NFS server. See, basically whenever you want to share the data from one end to multiple clients, we go for servers, right? Like we saw in Yum, we created DNF for Yum server and we added the other one as a client, exactly same way. So here the first server what we are going to talk about is NFS, Network File System, and the concept is network file sharing. So basically in this scenario what would happen, let me explain you that. See, we take one machine as our server, or you say a central repo or kind of thing, which we will convert into NFS server. Now I'll create one directory, and in this directory we are going to keep all sort of data, right? So this data you can share with other people. Now what other people will do when they need any data from my server? Simply they create one directory on the client side, and the server side directory will be mounted right on client side. Now once you mount server side directory to client side, whatever you have kept on server will be visible on the client as if it is their local stuff. So whenever I want to share anything with everyone, I'll just add it here and all of them would be able to access it. This is the simple architecture of NFS server and NFS clients. Now, every server I have kept some important points with the name profile. So the package that is required for NFS is NFS utils, and the daemons that are responsible is NFS server.service. Previously, we used to have separate daemons, but now thankfully they have clubbed it into one name, NFS server.service, which include NFSD, the main daemon, mountD that approves the request from the client, statd that checks the status of connectivity, lockd will lock the connection in case there is a connection barrier, and rquotad is to apply quotas on the client, which we generally don't use. And the port number of NFS is 2049. A very important config file is in etc exports. So whenever you want to share anything with NFS, you have to give the information in etc exports. Okay, like you are sharing some files, directories, with whom you are sharing, all that information you can keep it in etc exports. Now what are we waiting for? Let's start configuring NFS server. Step number 1, you need to start by installing the software. I don't really know that why NFS, such a critical package, is missing in RHEL 9. But doesn't matter if you say rpm-q nfs-utils. It says the package is not available. Not a problem. What I'll do, I'll install it. I'll say DNF. Yesterday we configured, or the previous session we configured DNF. So use it. DNF install nfs utils-y. Now this is going to install NFS package. So some dependencies are there, everything is resolved and it is completed. Now next thing what I'm going to do over here is I will start the services of NFS. First step, you have to install the package. Second step, better, you start the services of NFS because we are going to use it and it is better if the services are starting. That's your choice. You can start it now or maybe later. Now, next step, what you can do is you can go to fdisk, take any disk and format it, mount it, and then use it for storing the data of your NFS. That would be the standard practice. Maybe you take SDA8, you format, you mount, and you store the data. That's up to you. In my case, I'm simply creating one directory with the name NFS. Actually, you can use any name of your choice, whatever you want to call. I'm taking NFS. Now, once I create this directory, just assume that SDA8 partition I have mounted on NFS directory. Also, make permanent mount by going into FS tab. Now, you see, after mounting, not before mounting, after mounting, check whether this directory has write access or not. See, write access is very important. If you don't give write access, the clients will not be able to upload the data. See, our aim is to allow people to download, and maybe I need people to upload also. So give this directory write access. In fact, I don't mind, I'll give it full access. So now people can upload, download, and there will be no restrictions at all. Now you access NFS and start pouring the data. So you can put any data. For example, I'll create some 5 files. I create some 5 directories. Whatever you want, you can keep it. Either the files or you can keep the directories. That is up to you. Now this whole sum data, I want to share it with my clients, 51, 52, 53, whatever. Now, I cannot just directly start sharing it. You have to keep this information in etc export. Whenever, whatever you want to share with NFS, that information has to be given to etc exports. See, in this file, you have to mention what you are sharing. So I'll say I'm sharing NFS directory. With whom you want to share it. See, you can share it with everyone. No restriction. Client can be anyone. Or you can specify it to a particular network. That means I'm telling here the client specifically should be in 192, 168, 10 series. It can be anyone in 192, 168, 10, 10.1, 10.2, 10.3, anything. But the series should be this only. Now, after they connect, what access you want to give them? You have 2 choices. Either you give read only. So read only means they can only download but cannot upload. Or you can give read and write. That means people can read also and people can write also. And I want immediate synchronization between client and servers. So 2 options are there. If you want, you can add many more options over here. Like you can deny root access. People should not get root access, so you can give no squash. No delays should be there. All those optional things are there which you want, you can give. Now, once you have updated this file, it's like you have loaded the barrels in the gun. Now it's time to shoot. So how do I do that? You have to run the command exportfs -rv, where R stands for re-export, V to give a verbose output. If you want to unexport, you can say U. So anyway, I'll say exportfs -rv. It tells that I'm ready to export this network, the directory. But guys, let me tell you, this will not work now. Assume you have an air condition in your room and you have a remote with you. Now, can the remote power on and power off AC if there is no electricity? Absolutely no. You're wasting the time. Same way, export FS will not work unless NFS server services are active. So these services are inactive and disabled. How could you expect it to work? So in that case, what to do? I'll say systemctl enable now. Which service? NFS server.service. Now, after enabling the service, see it is active and enabled. Now you do export FS. This gives proper meaning for whatever you have done. But still clients cannot reach it, guys. Why? Have you ignored firewall? Firewall must allow NFS. See, after doing successful configuration of all services, still people cannot reach it out. You know why? Because firewall will be blocking it. So in firewall, you must allow NFS. So what to do? I'll say firewall command -- add a service. Which service? NFS. Is it temporary or permanent? See, you can also add ampersand. You want to do two steps, one after the other. First one is adding the service, and second one is reloading the firewall. So first it will add, and second it will reload. So two things in single line you can perform using two ampersand. So you see NFS is also allowed. That means the service is now ready. You need another machine as a client. So in our case, I'm taking two machines, Linux 1, Linux 2, 50 and 51. So let me go to 51 machine. Now here also you need NFS utils. So let's say DNF install NFS utils -y. So it is going to install NFS utils with all its dependencies. Let's wait for a couple of seconds before it finish the installation. Then we will configure the client. See, on client, you don't have to start any service. On client, you don't have to deal with firewall. Just you need to create one directory and connect server-side directory to client-side directory. That's it, as simple as that. So I'm going to create one directory here, anywhere, whatever name you like. See, this directory is an empty directory, nothing is there inside it. Now, before I try connectivity, I want to see whether the client server is able to communicate or not. How do I see, guys? Shall I use ping command? No. We will use another command to test NFS connectivity. I don't want general connectivity. I want to do NFS based connectivity. So how to check NFS connectivity? You have to use the command show mount -e and ask the question to server. See, I'm asking server a question. What server? What question? What you are exporting. Now server is obliged to answer, but as you see, it is not answering. Instead, it is giving me an error. Now why is this error? See, there is no problem in your configuration. The problem is still with firewall. See, I could have already resolved this issue and showed you, but I want you to learn troubleshooting. So here, when you try to connect, if you get unable to receive no route to the host, that means on the server, not on client, on the server. You need to allow two more services, RPC bind and mount D. These two are called communication services that must be enabled in firewall. So let us go to the other side and let's repeat the command, firewall command. Now I'm adding two services. How to add multiple service? Curly bracket. First is RPC bind and the second one is mount. And I also want to reload the service. Okay, it says this is not the way, no problem. Maybe I have to use a comma. So RPC bind and mount D. Now you see it is done. So if you see mount D, NFS, RPC bind, all the three services are added. Now you go back and retest the communication. Go for show mount -e and no restriction, now it is able to communicate. So this is the way, guys, how you have to test NFS communication. Now what are we waiting for? Let's try to mount. How to mount? We have a special command line, mount with the type of file system. See here, I'm not using ext, xfs, vfat, anything. Here we are using a special mode, NFS. So the type of file system should be NFS. And where is the server? 192.168.10.50. In 50, what is the address of the directory? So it is /NFS. So under 50, after that colon, then /NFS. Right? So where I need to mount it, my bad, you also need to give the client directory. I'm telling mount command, go to this server, connect to this directory and mount it locally here. Now after the mounting is completed, go to mount and look out for last few lines. It says 10.50 NFS is connected to NFSCL. Now you go to NFSCL and see the data that we kept on server side is visible on the client side also. Now if server side, if I add more data like NFS 6, 7, 8, 3 more files I'm adding. The moment I hit enter, here you see 3 files is added. Now I'll go to black side, do ls, and you see whatever you are adding, it is available. Now if I add some data from client side, CL1, CL2, CL3, you are adding the data in NFSCL directory, but actually it is automatically uploaded to the server. So in NFS client directory, if you do anything, you're actually working on server side directory. So whatever we are doing there, it will get updated onto the server. So now the server client architecture is completed. Now if you want to make a permanent mount, because what happens on the client side, now it is mounted. If I reboot the machine, what do you expect? It will lose the connection. So I want to make a permanent mount. How do we make a permanent mount for NFS? Go to ETCFS tab, open a new line and start by typing server address, that is 10.50. In 10.50, the directory name is NFS. And where would you like to mount it? /NFSCL, client side directory. And the type of file system should be NFS. No ext, no xfs, it must be mandatorily NFS. And as you know, the last 3 options should be as it is, will not disturb them. Now let us save and quit. Just unmount NFSCL. Observe here, it is not mounted as of now. To test permanent mounting, you can say mount -a, and there you go. It is showing that it is automatically mounted. Now, there is one issue with permanent mounting. You know what is the issue with permanent mounting here? Thing is, each client has done permanent mounting. Suppose I have 51, 52, 53. all have done permanent mounting. Now the problem here is whether the client is really using it or not, whether the client is really working inside it or not. The server side network will be busy and engaged, which is very wrong. The load on network will grow if I have 50, 60, 70 clients, which I don't want. But if I don't do permanent mounting, what happens? If you don't do permanent mounting, then every time you have to do manual mount. But guys, there is a solution here that is called auto mount, or it is also called as soft mount. Hard mount, permanent mount; soft mount, auto mount. So over here, we configure all the clients, not on server, all the clients. All clients we will configure in such a way that whenever anyone goes into client side directory, automatically this server directory will connect to client automatically. And if you leave the directory, for example, nobody is using it, it is empty, then what it does, it automatically breaks the connection. Just like sensor based lights are there. When you come in contact, they'll glow. And when you leave the gallery, they'll be automatically off. So something like that. And remember, auto mounting has to be configured on client side, not on server side. So whenever you are implementing auto mounting, please remove the hard mount or permanent mount. Keeping permanent mount also, auto mount also, you are wasting your efforts. So I don't want permanent mount. Let me first unmount NFS and see, is it unmounted? Yes. Go to etc fs tab. In fs tab, delete the line what you have added. Now permanent mount is gone. How to implement auto mount? See, to implement auto mount on client side, you need to install a package called AutoFS. This package will help us to configure auto mount. Let us give it some time to install the package. Now once it is done, there is one main config file that you have to edit. So let me go for etc auto.master. Now this is the main config where we will define what auto mounting I'm planning to do. So go to auto.master, go to the bottom of the page, open new line. Please don't disturb whatever is there inside it. Now we have two types of auto mounting, direct and indirect. Direct is quite sweet. Server side you have a directory, client side you have a directory, and both will get connected. This is called direct mounting. Simple. But you also have indirect auto mounting. Suppose I have 3 servers and all the 3 I want to connect on one client. How many directories do I need to create? One directory for 51, one directory for 52, one directory for 53. Instead of this, we just create one main directory and automatically subdirectories will be created and deleted. This is called indirect auto mounting. But guys, in a small environment, it's good to go direct mounting. So if it is an indirect mounting, here you will give the mother directory name, whatever you want to use for mounting all servers. But if you are doing a direct mounting, just give slash and dash. This represents direct mounting. Now, how many servers you are going to mount? In our case, it is 1. But mostly in more cases, it may grow. So I'll go and I'll say it is etc. I'm going to create a file, guys, with the name etc auto.nfs. You can basically use any name. I'm taking auto.nfs. And I will also add timeout. What is this timeout? See, I told you that whenever nobody is using, it will disconnect. But if everyone leaves the directory, I still want to wait some time. Who knows, people may come back. So 10 seconds, 20 seconds, I will wait. Then I will unmount. So here that timeout I'll give is 10 seconds. If nobody is in the directory, wait for 10 seconds. Then unmount it. You can increase, decrease it as per your convenience. Now let's create the second file which we mentioned inside it, AutoNFS. In this, you tell which directory you will use for mounting purpose, and this directory should be created already. In our case, we have created it, so let it be fine. Then with read-write permissions, I would like to connect to 192.168.10.50 NFS. Please understand this. If I go to NFSCL, it should automatically connect to NFS directory. That's what I'm telling. So every time if anybody enters here, it will connect there. That's it. Save and quit. Now you see mount and tail. There is no NFS concept. Let me start the services. systemctl. Enable now AutoFS. AutoFS is also a service, so you have to start this service. If you check the status, systemctl status, you see it active and enable. What it is? Auto mounts file systems on demand. Alright. Now you go to NFSCL. As soon as I enter inside it, it gets automatically mounted. Have I mounted manually? No. You see mount and last few lines. See, etc auto.nfs is monitoring that directory. It is keeping an eye on that. It's a sniper, guys. As soon as anybody enters inside it, it will do mounting. Now it got mounted. Let me leave the directory, guys. CD. Am I out of it? Yes. Let's wait for 5 seconds and see what happens. Still mounted. Still mounted. Still mounted. See, I'm doing this command again and again, but as soon as 10 seconds are over, it got unmounted. One more time, you see. When you enter into NFSCL, it's getting mounted. When you leave the directory, see, still it is mounted. It will wait for next 10 seconds. And after 10 seconds, you see, it will disappear as you see. So once you leave the directory, it waits 10 seconds and it unmounts. So here I am actually decreasing the load on server side by doing this. But only one problem is, if you have 50 clients, you have to do it on 50 machines. Not to worry, guys, you are having Ansible like tools that can do this activity very, very nicely. Okay, so that is it for this session. We'll meet back again in one more session to see one more server. Thank you very much, guys. See you in the next video.